Yes.
Sure.
Ooh, something new on Slack.
There, do it. So the big thing is, we got a grocery store right here. This is the parking lot. So I just come down the elevator, grocery store. Back up the elevator.
They had one that went away.
It's a new grocery store. And if you don't want to cook, you got a, or if you just want morning coffee, there's a coffee.
Hello. Is this coming through? I think it is. Alrighty.
That's actually flush.
Fortunately, we have Starbucks. Here's the office. There's the Starbucks. That's why I need the Starbucks more anyway. I don't really need the Starbucks at home.
Alrighty. I think we'll get started because I know it's already recording, so probably if anybody's watching at home, yes, we're paying attention. Right, I shared the drum circle yesterday on Facebook, and my wife messaged me and said, "I don't see you." I wasn't there.
Yes, you were.
In the drum circle?
No, not in the drum circle. You
Yeah.
were way in the back of the room.
I was in the office. I was fixing things. But, hello. So how's everybody's conference going? So it's shorter. We're actually almost done. See, like last year I would have said, well, you know, it's been great. We only have one more day to go. And everybody would go, oh. But no, everybody would be all enthusiastic going, yeah, more. So we're kind of in the home stretch here this year. We're going to talk about QuizWright today. So it's new. I'm Elmer Masters. This is Sam Goshorn. We make things for Cali. That's what we do. It's our new. We have like a. I know you like that, right? Yeah, absolutely. I could say we make things that make legal education awesome. That would work too, right? Also, absolutely. So we're going to talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about. Well, actually, I'm going to talk a lot, and then sometimes Sam might chime in, or especially if people have questions, because he's done a lot of the work on the actual interface for QuizWright and stuff, and then I've handled sort of a lot of the back end stuff. So that's how we've divvied up this project. I just have a few slides, and then we're going to kind of dive right into a demo. So, and if I click on the right, there we go. So I just these are the 4 slides, right? So by way of introduction, a little bit why we're focusing on quizzes, a little bit about how we're going to leverage our existing infrastructure, because we have between Sam and I, we've been doing these sorts of things for over 50 years together. And actually, if you loop in John and Deb and Sam and I, we're over a century of legal education experience. So think about that. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. It also could mean I've been around too long. I don't know. It's hard to say. A little bit about how QuizWright lays a foundation for some things we want to do. And then the demo. So we decided to focus on quizzes because formative assessments are hot. Also because, one of the things that people like, one of the things that both students and faculty like about existing Cali lessons is the way that they provide feedback, right? So as students learn things in Cali lessons, they answer questions, and then they get feedback on the lesson or on the questions, and they know whether it was right or wrong, or if they maybe need to try again, and so it helps reinforce what they're learning. So we wanted to sort of bring that to a sort of lighter format, right? So for example, at one point we thought about calling this Cali Author Lite. For just a minute, because it didn't sound so exciting. But so we wanted to look at something that was a little bit lighter, and we thought about quizzes much the same way that some folks are using things like clickers or Instapoll, one of our things, and as a way to sort of just see where students are at. Right, at various points in the course or even during class. So we're looking at formative assessment, which is by its very nature low stakes. So there's not, you're not worried about grades. You're more interested in monitoring student learning, right? Seeing what the students know and then sort of using that to guide what you're teaching. So we built this tool to sort of get that. To get at that in a way that's pretty straightforward to use. There's not, how many people here have filled out a form on the web? Awesome. So see, you're already good to go on this because that's all you have to do. At the moment, you can't even put pictures in it. So there's that. That'll change though. But it's just text. So we tried to keep it as simple as possible. And one thing that we want to make clear that as this exists right now, it's not intended to be used for like exams, right? So, I took securities in law school, securities 1 and 2, and the feature of that class was the final exam in each section was 100 multiple choice questions. So it was just a giant size. Yeah, I got 98 the first semester and 99 the second one. I won a $5,000 cash prize. Yeah, because who needs those Cali certificates when you can get real money for getting the top grade in the class? And then I opted not to get into securities to do this. Which, might sound like a good idea then, but in like 1992, it was probably a little short-sighted. But but the thing is that we're not talking about a system where you can build a 100-question exam thing. That's not the use case we're sort of chasing here. And we really built this with a single use case in mind, which is your class has an assignment. You want to run a few. You want to check to see if they've got what you want them to get out of that assignment. So you can create a couple of multiple choice, 2 or 3 or maybe 4 multiple choice questions. You can either have them run that before they get to class and then take a look at the results, or you can have them run it live in class, right? Give them 5 minutes at the beginning. They should be able to, go right through those. And you can actually take, as the teacher, you can actually use our tools to take a look at what the students are, what their responses are in real time. And then decide whether or not they actually got the holding of the case that they were supposed to read, or if maybe they missed something. Okay. So that's like sort of where we came in terms of doing quizzes over sort of maybe some more advanced stuff. So we decided to build. Because like a couple people have already asked, like, why didn't you just use X, or how does this compare to some other commercial product, right? So there are a lot of great quiz tools out there that you can get your hands on, both free and subscription-based or fee-based things, but none of those plug into the infrastructure that we already have, right? So we're essentially extending QuizWright's extending our tool set, right? It's another thing that builds on the infrastructure that Cali already has, right? So you already have a Cali account. Your students already have Cali accounts. It's not going to cost you any more money to use this. You've already got membership. This builds on the auto-publish and Lesson Live and Lesson Pass tools. That's all working right now. the lesson link and courses part, will come like next week once I've got, because I thought about firing up the document camera, but I won't. I have the fix. I have a problem with lesson link, but I have the fix right here on this pad. So when I get back home next week, we'll tidy all that up and we'll be ready to have that, to launch all this in beta on the 26th of June. And I'll talk about more about that in a bit. But the idea here was that we didn't want to just have something that existed off on its own. We wanted to be able to leverage what we already have, right? So when a student runs these quizzes, they'll show up in the list of lessons that the students run already. So they'll be able to go back and look at them. They'll be able to see how they did, a week from now or at the end of the semester or something like that. As the teacher who created the quiz, you'll have access to their grades and also the quiz itself, and you can copy that, and use it again in another semester. You can change the questions. You'll be able to do different things with it. And so it just becomes another feature that we have. And one of the things that this will allow for is essentially the building of personal question banks, right? So right now, that's the way that'll work, right? So you log in, you create questions, you can see your questions, because we're going to turn off the part where you can see everybody's questions, at least until we get going, while we figure out all the stuff about sharing. Because at some point we want to be able to share those, we want to give you the option to share those questions with colleagues. And access to the authoring tool initially is limited to faculty and, people with faculty status, which includes librarians and tech staff and everybody at member schools who isn't a student. So students won't have access initially to actually be able to create, sort of do their own thing. But I'll talk about that a little bit in the next slide. So by building this tool ourselves to sit on top of what we already have, we're doing a couple of things. It gives us the ability to build on top of it, right? So to do a QuizWright that students can use to make flashcards, right? So that they can study, they can study their own study material. It can become the basis for CALIauthor on the web, which will get us out of the Visual Basic Windows-only program with the steep learning curve that we would now use for Cali lessons, right? The full-blown lessons, or that some of you are using to auto-publish your own lessons, right? So that's a feature, of course. You can download CALIauthor and install it on a Windows computer and create your own lessons or modify our existing lessons and then publish those back to the Cali website with auto-publish. So we're sort of cleaning all that up, and so this will provide that sort of a base for some of those things. And then, so does anybody have any sort of general questions before I sort of launch into the demo? Because that's where we're going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the QuizWright interface. We will create create some questions. I'll show you how you can then group those questions into a quiz and then publish the quiz to the Cali website, and then we'll have a link. And then we'll figure out a way. I've actually set up, if you, the link that says play along there, one of these is a laser pointer. I know it is. Does it work? I'm probably going to, should I look in there and see if it's working? No. We'll do that. Okay, there it is. Yeah, there it is. It's a good thing I didn't look in there. So this, you can actually get, because we're working on one of the Cali development servers right now, and I've actually set up a bunch of demo accounts. If you happen to have a laptop running and you want to play along when we get there, you can follow this. You can type in this URL. It will take you to a Google spreadsheet, and you can adopt one of the personas You will not be required to read the name out loud because they're really bad Latin, but that's okay. And in that way, you'll be able to participate in the lesson live part of the demonstration coming up a little bit later. So the first thing that that you'll need to do is I'll need to have extra tabs open. Is have an account in the Cali website, right? So so you would start by logging in. And this one's a little. You may see some strange things on this site. This is a development website. So things that are on here don't exist in the real world. They're just there's a lot of this is stuff that we're working on. So you may see some strange things. I think I've hidden all the really scary stuff though, but you never do know. So we'll log in. So that logs in the account I want to use. Now, when this is rolling along, there'll be a menu pick that'll turn up under the Cali dashboard. So below lesson link and before auto publish, there'll be a link for QuizWright that'll take you to a page that looks like this. We're going to ask you to log in again, and that's going to be kind of just a double security thing. But it uses the same account that you used that you use for your regular Cali stuff. So that'll take you to the QuizWright builder. Now, right now it's a blank page. That'll change. The first thing that you want to do, just like any good dating site, any good site, is fill out your profile. Now, what this does is this gathers the information that we'll actually use when we create quizzes. So. It creates essentially a title page for the quiz. So that's why we instead of pulling your information over from Cali, in case you want to put in like your full name or a complete title and stuff, we put this here. You're also free to kind of leave it blank, but then your quiz will look a little weird. So this account actually belongs to a model faculty. And we'll just say professor, and we use East Coast University School of Law, and you can put an email address, phone number, etc., and it'll save all that. And then we can hit update, and then that updates your profile.
You read out that URL at the top?
I could, but I'm not going to.
Oh, you don't want us to go there?
No, because your accounts aren't going to work there.
Oh, that's right, we're students.
Yeah. Well, no, not only your students, but we're not like any data. This is the development site, so I don't want people saving stuff here because, well, it gets lost and mangled and that sort of stuff. Like sometimes we decide we need to change the data structure and we have to dump everything, and so things go away. So since this is our first time here, we're going to go to new, and then the first thing we want to do is a question. So okay, so then this is the first sort of decision point, right? Am I doing true, false? Am I doing multiple choice? We're going to stick with true, false for right now. And so when you hit true, false, you get some basic editor, basic edit box. So you can get like kind of fancy, right? There's like bold and underline and stuff. Right now we're not supporting links out to other things. We're not supporting media files. That'll come along, but we're still thinking, really simple questions and answers. So for really simple quizzes. Okay, so we're gonna load in some. I keep a set of handy questions on copyright. So let's see, we'll grab these. So here's the question, and we'll go over here. We'll just put it in there, and then, excuse me, that's your question. Always helps to know whether or not the correct choice is true or false. So this is kind of not going to be fair because you're going to see the answers before we actually run the lesson. So the correct answer to this is false. So we'll tell it. Actually, while I'm over here, we're gonna copy the feedback because I'm going to use that. So the correct answer is false. So we'll click false, and then we can do optional feedback here. Ooh, what's the more link do, Sam? Click it.
No.
Don't click it.
Don't click if you want to. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. We'll save that.
That's
Is that further development?
it.
Oh, it just does.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I can click it. Oh, okay. So what do I get? Oh, I see. Oh, well, I did want to click it because there's the topic areas. So, see, so we're sort of, and then there's attribution, so you can tell. So, for example, we're getting this from this particular page in the out in the internet, so we can put in the attribution. It'll take anything pretty much in there. And then there's additional notes if you want to put in notes so that later when you look at the question, you know why you wrote it or anything like that. And at this point, we can add another question, which we'll do.
Didn't put the feedback for choosing the wrong answer.
Oh, well, then I'm going to have to edit my question. Okay, we'll do that. We'll go back and edit. So I can look at my list of questions, and we will edit. Oh, yeah, I did put in the feedback.
Oh, but there's just one feedback.
But
When you
how
get a
about
better
the
one.
wrong?
Oh, the feedback only comes from, right now there's only feedback, there's just one feedback. So no matter what they pick, the feedback, so actually what you really want to do here is, you want to say false is correct. Because remember, you're unlike Cali lessons where you're sort of trying to get them to learn something, we actually talked, Sam and I, and mostly Sam and I, about whether or not we wanted to have any feedback on this at all. So in other words, students sit down and it would be just like a filling in the bubble list, right? So they would just, pick the answer and they'd move to the next question, next one, and then they would get to the end and they would see a score, and then you would talk about it in class, right? So like no feedback. So, but that felt a little odd to me, also to Deb. Is Deb here? Deb's not even here. Because feedback is just something that we're so used to seeing with Cali lessons. So, but these aren't Cali lessons, so it makes it a little bit different. So there's just one feedback. They'll turn up no matter what they, because no matter which one they pick, they'll just get the single feedback box. So you can just put you can tell them what the correct answer is at that point, and then they're just going to move on to the next question anyway, because that's sort of how the whole thing is set to be structured.
There's no branching.
Right, and there's no branching either. So this is just linear. It's just one question after another. So we'll hit the update button here. You'll notice that there is space for sharing here. It doesn't do anything at the moment, but everything's private by default. So that's our one question. I'm going to add another question, or else it's going to be a pretty short quiz. And then we'll we'll grab another one here. Okay, and that's, let's see, that's true. Okay, and then I won't put any feedback in for this one. You can sort of see what that feels like. And then we'll add, we'll do the optional things here. We'll pick up the, and some of these may move, like we'll probably require you to pick a topic area so that we're able to, so we're starting to get that tagging. John talked about that yesterday. And then we'll add another one, and then we'll do another true false. And we'll do this one. Okay, so. False is correct. Okay. Okay, so then we get to the end. We've done this. Now, you've got a couple options here. You can sort of walk away and come back later. We can go right into preparing a quiz. And then, so what you've got here is still some layout issues. These are some of the things we're still working on, just to make it, a little more aesthetically pleasing. But from here, you can basically, you can see if you have a, when you've got, you've been doing this for a semester, you've got 60 questions. You can decide. Do I just want to see like the latest ones I put in that I haven't assigned to a quiz yet, and so those would still be unassigned, or do I want to see all my questions, and then you can pick from sort of your whole list. The default is to just show us the unassigned ones. We check the ones that we would like to have in the quiz. Hang on. Sometimes I get too far to the right on the trackpad and make things happen. Okay, so then I get a title. And then we've got more boxes to fill out. So we give it a quiz. And then we've discovered that it's really handy to put dates in these things because after a while you get a bunch of them and like you're not exactly sure when did I do this and that sort of stuff. Again, right now this will be a pick list for the subject area, then a brief description, and you can see where all this is going to turn up in a little bit. We're going to set the time, the estimated time. It's probably not even terribly relevant for the quiz because you're not, you're sort of doing it, in a sort of closed space. But if you're assigning it, to have it done before class tomorrow, it helps the students. It's reassuring that, they can look at it and go, oh, it only takes 5 minutes. If you wanted to provide some sort of an introductory page and then a page that they get to when they get to the end of the quiz, you can put that in here. But for right now, I'll put them in so we can see what they look like. And then if we're all done, we can save the quiz. So this gives me a list of the questions, and we can you can see what the thing it's not very exciting, but this gives you an idea what's in the quiz, right? So at this point, this turns up under like the list of my quizzes. And then there's also the list of my questions. So we can see all of our questions. And we can see all of our quizzes. And then, from here, we can actually go back and we can take a look. We can actually rearrange the order of the questions from here, which is drag and drop functionality, so we can pick stuff up and move it around if we want to get them in a particular order. So you don't need to create them in the order that you want them to turn up in. We'll put that one up top. And then we can hit update, and that saves that. And you can see that now in here it's done that. We can also go back and edit the description. From here, we can also take a look at a preview so that you can see what the students are going to see. So this launches the lesson viewer. So now this should look really familiar, right? This is just our regular lesson viewer, and it will allow you to walk through the lessons walk through the quiz rather from here. I'm just going to leave the page. Okay, so at this point, we're ready to publish the quiz. So we've got our questions together. We've put them in the quiz. We've ordered the way that we want the questions to go, and so now we're going to publish the quiz. So we click on that. Okay, now this just moved all of this over to Drupal for us, right? So it's actually put it on the Cali website. And if any of you have used auto-publish, you would recognize this page. This is the auto-publish page. If you use Cali Author to do custom lessons of any kind, and when you auto-publish them to the website, this is the page that you get. So we just plugged the QuizWright web interface into auto-publish, and so now we have Cali Lessons as a service. But that was for the boss. And then you can go in here and you can make some changes if you want to. You can change the title. Whoops. Where'd that go?
Cali Lessons as a Service spells out class.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I hadn't really thought that out, but yes, it does. And then you can go in and you can change some of the stuff. This part only appears on Drupal. It doesn't affect what shows up inside the Cali lesson viewer. And then when you're ready to go with this, you have to make sure that you click the Publish button. And then we'll do a save. Okay. So now we've got a lesson. What looks like a lesson, I should say. If Deb was here, she'd be telling me to quit calling them lessons. So now our quiz has been auto-published to the Cali website, and it's ready to go. So if you go to, if you've logged in using one of those dummy accounts, and you go to this page, can you read that? I can make that bigger, I think.
No.
John, you just got new glasses.
No, even with the new glasses.
Oh wait, that doesn't make that part
Look at
bigger.
the cursor with it.
Here. So it's.
That's worse.
Yeah, I know. That just made it worse, right? So it's D7. I'll write it on the board because I know what it is. So it's D7 dot CaliDev, CLIDEV dot ORG, right, slash AP lesson slash 15796. So if you go there, you should see this page. Now, if you click on the Start Auto-Publish Lesson button, so this is actually an update to auto-publish, because if you use auto-publish right now, you know that there's just a really bad link there, and so I've actually done some work to clean this up. So we're improving auto-publish as well as getting QuizWright out the door here. We've also added, there's a bookmark feature. Did anybody know that the Cali website has a bookmark feature? So if your students are looking at lessons or podcasts or eLangdell books or auto-publish lessons or QuizWright quizzes, they can click this and it'll add it to a bookmark list that they can keep. Students do use it. I know the students use it because occasionally it breaks for one reason or another, and they call me and they go, "Where are my bookmarks?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you know, clear the cache on your browser and you'll be fine," because it uses a lot of JavaScript and sometimes it gets a little sideways. But yes, students use this because they create lists of lessons for themselves to sort of study during the course of the year. And I've taken a look at people's bookmarks, and they're not just like sort of like going and hitting like every lesson in a topic. They actually seem to look at them a little bit, so that's kind of encouraging. But so if you're here, and so if we kick off this lesson, and if everything's working the way that it's supposed to, oh, so we've actually got some students. Okay, so now we're running this in real time, right? So now we're in Cali Lesson Live, right, which is a feature we added back in January of this year to allow for the running of lessons live in a classroom, so you can watch what's going on. So we'll do that. And I know since we're not using anybody's real names. See, we do pop up this message, right? So right now it's just sort of student 1, student 3, 2, 3, etc. But if I click this, we'll actually see student names. So from here, Sam, this better work. So from here we can go. So I created that intro page, right? So this is the intro page. So you could use this to like maybe give them a little background or what the guidelines for taking the exam, the quiz are. And then from there, so we see some people have already gotten it wrong, and there's somebody else. Will somebody please click the correct answer? Now, generally speaking, while you're administering a quiz in class, you probably don't want to run this screen. Which would sort of defeat the purpose. But for demo purposes, it's kind of cool. So as people are going through, we can see how folks are actually doing on the quiz, and we can go to the next question, and then the next. So and then we can get to the end. Now, if I actually click on either one of these myself, it'll tell me. So this is the one that had the feedback. So this is where the feedback comes in, and you get the same feedback. Now, if I click, the interesting thing though is that this is true, so you get the green box, or false rather. That's the correct answer. If I click on true, which is the incorrect answer, it would actually pop up the red incorrect box. So the student might not actually know that there's only one feedback there, right? I mean, they're being told what the correct answer is, regardless of what they selected. So typically, you would probably keep an eye on how this was going, sort of, as you give them their 5 minutes to take the quiz, and then the part that could be really interesting then becomes the additional. It does work. So this is actually the full report that comes with this that can give you an idea of how students are actually doing with with this, and so you can see what the breakdown is by student in terms of the questions and that sort of thing, and we can open up all the sort of interesting extra things that come in there. And we can do different sorts. So they're showing up alphabetically. We can sort them by score. We can sort them different ways. And as we go down the page, we can get more sophisticated responses, right? So how come it's sorting by 3, 1, 2, Sam?
Sorted by score.
Oh, it's sorted by score. Oh, okay. Oh, that okay. All right.
Sorted by score above.
Yeah, and it carried through, or is that how it sorts by default? Oh, you don't know? Okay. So we'll flip it around because it's the question numbers. But then we also then get the breakdown, and we can see how students did on specific things, and then we can push this a little bit further and see actually which students. So typically you might use this sort of reporting on your screen at the front of the room to just give yourself a quick visual about how students are doing, and as they take the quiz, as opposed to sort of showing everybody. But although it might be fun to run through one to let students see what it looks like, because they'd probably be interested in that, right? And we don't we don't have things like grade books and that sort of stuff built into this, but we do have the ability to download stuff that can be put into spreadsheets and here's a tip: you should download a bunch of these and take them to your IT guys and tell them you need to upload them into whatever your grade book is, and they will love you because they love being able to having to swap around somebody else's spreadsheets to make them fit into something else. Now, actually, for things like the downloads, you know, we have access to a ton of data that we're sort of exposing here, and so for things like downloads, if there's specific formats that we might want to, you know, I mean, I don't know how prevalent. I mean, the last time I checked, there weren't a lot of people using electronic grade books. I don't know if that's changed. If it has, we're willing to figure out a way to set up downloads for specific things, like if you want to, you know, load it into a Blackboard grade book sort of thing. We just don't have, like, we don't know, so we're asking. So you can let us know about that. So that's kind of the run through of the whole. Now, Lesson Live, I should say, and all the Lesson Pass stuff works right now with Lesson Link, which you can actually assign lessons using Lesson Link and have access to all this reporting, like right now on the main website. So you know, and Jim Smith, you've used Lesson. You've used
that
Lesson
worked
Live.
well for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it twice in property
Yeah.
as far as.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jim's actually tried it out in class, and you know, with one of our, you know, with an actual Cali lesson. So you do need to look at the Cali lessons. Some of them are better for this sort of thing than others. If you want to use Lesson Link. Now, all this stuff will turn up under the regular reporting that you would see in. So for example, this turns up under auto publish here, so we can see that quiz was something that I auto published, and I can get back to those details and that sort of stuff from this page too, if I've moved away from that, and you know, and then that gives you the ability to sort of get back and you know, kind of go back over those things again. And the students would actually see the results, because I actually did that one thing. So the students would see the results as part of their regular lesson runs, just like any other lessons that they do. And that includes the ability, by the way, to resume, which I probably should fix that, because this doesn't. We need to make sure we set the complete thing when folks get to the end of
Quizzes, you mean?
Yeah, for quizzes. Yeah, so that because the thing that happens is that. It can get weird on the reporting side if the faculty goes back and looks at it later, if they've like gone back in and. Oh, no, it only shows first answer, right? In lesson. Nah, it'll show all the times. Never mind. So yeah, we'll fix that. That's a bug. But we'll fix that so that when they get to the end of a quiz, we'll actually mark it as complete, because automatically. So. Yes.
Would it be possible to do, kind of delay the quiz? Let's say you want them to do it after class and have it turned on at, 7 o'clock at night or something like that?
Well, it just depends on when you give them the link. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Request, Allie. Submit a feature request.
Okay, I will.
Well, no. So they won't see it until you show them the link. So. What I'm working on right now is tying this into the lesson link infrastructure, which gives you a whole, like it generates email and stuff that you can share with students that has the links in it and stuff like that. So then you can decide when students have access to it. And as, again, this is another one of those, this provides a foundation for doing things like saying like, maybe we only want people to see this during, allow you to set a time. That would be a feature that we could add, yeah. So, any other questions? So, I know everybody's probably interested in playing with this. We had hoped to get this, to have this ready to actually let people start using it like today. But I got a little bit behind what with this conference thing. I know, right? Go figure. Because, it's hard to wrangle speakers. Anyway, so we're actually going to, so we have just a couple of things that we want to have done. So we're currently aiming for the 26th of June, which is like 10 days from now, or yeah, about 10 days from now, as sort of a beta access date. And we'll actually make a decision on that like next Thursday, because I'll know whether or not the bits that need to get fixed are going to be fixed in time. So, but if you go to, can you read this one, John?
I can't see the red dot.
Not the red dot, where it says sign up for beta access.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's cca.li. That's a 1, a lowercase a, and that's a 0, not a capital O. So that'll take you to a Google form where we're asking you for your name, your law school, your email address, and your Cali username.
Locked form.
Is it locked? It should be open.
You need permission. This form will be reviewed by users in the owner's organization.
That's not what I told it to do. Okay, I will fix that. No, I told it to like let anybody who had the link in it. So, all right. Well, yeah, I've been fiddling with permissions for like 25 years and I never get them right. Just like ask like just about anybody. John, how am I on permissions?
You're great, Elmer.
Yeah, I know,
Wait.
right? So, so anyway, I will fix that so that everybody can get in there, and the link is also up on the session page on the schedule, if you want to get back to it, and I'll post it in the general Slack channel also. Sorry about that. I should have had somebody outside the organization check to make sure it was working.
Yeah, it worked for me, Nick.
Yeah, Nick. So anyway, in there we'll ask for name and email address, your law school, and your Cali username, because the code to run this will actually be the beta will actually be run through www.cali.org. So you'll have the same, you'll just be able to use your regular name, but your regular user information, but you'll be in the special beta users group. So so that'll give you access to it. And we'll have more about that, and then we'll schedule and record a webinar. They'll go through some of what I just talked about. Actually, I may just use this presentation depending on how it comes out to sort of refresh people on it. About what we can do. Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I can do like a 15-minute thing plus questions. Yeah. So we'll schedule a webinar like that week to get the ball rolling on the beta. Now the thing about the beta is that it should be such that any data that you put in you should be able to keep forever and ever. I'm not going to totally guarantee that at the moment, but since it'll all be built into our main system, it should work. So. And then we'll still be working on some of the interface issues and stuff, and we'll be expecting feedback from y'all about how sort of, especially how the authoring interface works and that sort of thing. So and we'll set all that up. So any other questions? Yes.
Yeah. Hey. So before you dive into a project like that, you look at what else is out there, and I assume.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Can you just, as a guy who hasn't really looked at what else is out there but curious about it, could you just sort of sketch that?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, yeah. John's probably kept.
Dovetails a little with your presentation last year, John.
Yeah.
Which one from last year?
Well, the one I said.
Oh, yeah. That was
What I'm thinking of. You were talking about the array of some of the tools that were out there. Actually, now that I think about it.
I still don't remember what I was talking about a year ago. So yeah, so maybe one of the first questions you would think is like, why would you build something which there are already 100 in the marketplace of? It's actually an easy answer. So we haven't built something that would replace or actually we have built something that would take the place of competing tools like Socrative or Articulate does some of these things. The first answer is this is built on top of the existing Cali lesson link auto-publish infrastructure. So it was easy to build. We only had to build an author, then do some back-end glue plug-in work for that. Second, it's designed entirely as a formative assessment tool, not for taking exams. We're not coming after you, Ray.
Awesome.
Or exam stuff. Except where they're selling their tool for formative assessment. I guess it could be considered a competing product in that regard. But I think faculty are on a big learning curve about formative assessment right now, which is to say some are very sophisticated, a few are very sophisticated and they're thinking about it, but the great majority are being told only recently that the ABA would like them to be doing more of that formative assessment. And so one of the goals of the design here is that it's fast, that you can drop in, generate a formative assessment, 5-question quiz. You could run it in the classroom if you want and immediately display results and discuss them with your students. Or you could do like what Sally wanted, which is send around the link, they run it, and then you can get a report as soon as the students are done. Hopefully the hard part is coming up with the questions, not in installing the software, figuring out how it all works, doing any of the technical thinking.
So how close are you adhering to, well, I guess what people are expecting would be something that would meet what the ABA is asking for?
Oh man, you're asking me to tell what the ABA is thinking?
Exactly. You don't have that figured out?
I don't have that figured out.
All right.
Nor does the ABA.
Who has it figured out? Somebody.
No, nobody's figured it out.
And actually, I mean, that's a perfect typical question. I don't think anybody's got anything perfectly figured out here.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to do a tool that we know is going to change as that collective experience emerges from the use of a simple tool that might get more sophisticated as time goes by.
Is there?
So I've seen lots of other tools, and they have thousands or hundreds or lots of features that are really cool, and I don't want any of them in this first version. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to sell this or push this as a feature-packed thing. We want to focus on simplicity and on solving this one problem of how to quickly get formative assessment into your courses right away.
Is there? I'm sorry, I got multiple follow-ups here, but I'll be quick. Is there a next thing that would be like that you would be thinking of would be what you'd want to add? I mean, what's the next piece?
To this?
Yeah.
There's
There's a lot of places to go. There's like a next place to go.
The next place to go, well, first of all, you should watch my presentation from yesterday.
Cool.
And second, I don't know, the original idea behind this was a web-based version of CALIauthor. Right? The CALIauthor is a Windows-only download and install Visual Basic tool. You really need a Mac-capable web-based authoring tool. But CALIauthor is a really sophisticated piece of software that has like 14 different question types and 3 different versions of those question types. And the formative assessment problem is its own use case. So this code base might be the beginning of that, but I have a feeling that's a fork of this code to a completely different authoring environment.
Norm?
How do you run it in the classroom? Through the link?
Yeah. So good question, Norm. So it'll be wired into Lesson Link. You use Lesson Link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be wired into Lesson Link. So I don't. Well, I'm not going to. Well, wait. I might actually have it.
So the website knows that you're a faculty member, Norm, and it
Yep.
knows that your students are students. So you get to see the dashboard that shows the students' answers, and the students will never see that.
Yeah. So the way that it'll work, Norm, is you'll be in Lesson Link. Hang on, let me just. You'll be in Lesson Link. You do a create Lesson Link, right? So you'll scroll down, and in select a topic, you'll have there'll be a thing for auto-publish lessons, and that'll include your QuizWright quizzes. You'll select that, you'll have your auto-published lessons and your QuizWright stuff. You'll check it there. It'll create then that page that you can distribute to your students, both through our website at like CALIcon17 or you can email it to them, and we'll be beefing that up also too. So the flow is you create the questions, you create the quiz, you publish the quiz, and then if you want to get and then you can, at that point, you could just send students the link to the page if you want to do that. Or you can go the next step and use Lesson Link to pull it in with maybe other materials that you're also assigning. So, and while I'm at this with Lesson Link, we're
exactly the problem that that we haven't fixed or need to fix is talking about which things to click on and tell people to do stuff.
Yeah.
It makes this a problem in the classroom too. We want to find the right UI, UX. That's basically, you just go
it
here
sort
and
of
click
pulls
this.
all this together.
Tell the student to go here and click that.
Yep.
And then formative assessment is happening instead of lots of
little pieces.
interface explanation going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the students,
Oh,
Faculty adoption is going to be influenced by that, but student ease of use. I mean, this has got to be something, if you're going to use it in the classroom, it's got to be something that nobody's going to have to miss.
Right, and if you
Exactly
haven't,
what they need to do.
right, and this is,
Yeah.
all this is for today is a beta demo of our progress so far.
right, and if you haven't, wait a second, that was the wrong page. If you haven't used, I'll get to you in just a second. Sorry. If you haven't used Lesson Link before, it actually, where's the thing? This is not a. Here it is. Okay.
Good.
So it generates. So when you use Lesson Links, one of the things it does, it creates a course page, right? So what that does is that gives you all the lessons that you want to assign to your students, and then the links to those lessons. And so all you need to give your students is, and it's obviously much shorter on www.cali.org, right? So the link you would provide to your students would be www.cali.org/courses/some number. And then your students would go there, and you can add then the quizzes and lessons and Langdell books. You're going to add Langdell books to the Lesson Link picker so that you can actually tell students about, on the course page that you're setting up for them, about the book. So and so that will be the sort of the best way for students to to sort of get that. And because you can go in and edit this list during the course of the semester, you could add things to it or take them away at certain points. And then eventually, Sally, this will be where the time part will come in, right? I've fiddled around over the years a couple times of trying to get these things to turn up at specific times, and that's on my list of stuff to solve in the next, academic year. So you had a.
Well, were you there for Scott's? Yes, I mean the previous session where you talked about the NCB and quiz.
I was.
Yeah, John was. I wasn't. Yeah.
Well, of course, what I would like to see is all those metrics behind the questions. Or, he had all of these things at the NCB, or if you're taking it with ExamSoft or something like that,
or Scantron.
Of who this question, all the high students got it right, and only 2 of the lowers, the students on the lower on the quiz. There are a lot of metrics that were kind of validating or not validating the question itself.
Yeah.
And that was
sample size
fascinating.
question at the end. Those statistics get meaningless when you're looking at 15 people taking a quiz.
Yeah, but
I
we're
understand
fine with
that it might, but I think it'd be interesting to start looking at it as an instructor rather than me trying to figure out. It just seemed interesting to see. Yeah, I don't think because your sample is going to be pretty small, but.
Oh, but that's certainly a set of features, and that's actually part of QuizWright. That's part of the report function that's
Right, that comes up in the lesson live, lesson pass stuff, where where we look at that now, because we don't
Right,
even,
right.
in putting that, that would fit into some of this space, right? So,
Right,
so
exactly.
we're looking at these
Right.
reports instead of just, and we'll need to, we can look at more of that, and we've done a little bit of that kind of analysis, sort of the beginnings of that on like the results from lessons themselves and sort of across schools and stuff. Because remember, we've got 15 years worth of lesson runs or something like that.